Hey watercolor wizards, Hajra here. Today I'll be doing another holiday card friendly project, a patterned ink turkey postcard painted with Cretacolor Aquastic water soluble oil pastels. As usual, video notes, project sketches, art blogs, deconstructed painting posts, and more rewards are available for my patrons on Patreon. So we embark on this epic art adventure with two brushes, which is my usual way of things. The round one is to lay down pigment, and the flat one is to blend edges and lay down water. Both of these are Silver Brush brand brushes. The black one is from the lovely Black Velvet series, which is a mix of squirrel hair and nylon, and the other is a cheaper, fully synthetic hairbrush from the same brand. I've already inked my pattern bird up with a brown sepia colored zig writer before filming, and it's a marker I like because it's light fast, pigment based, waterproof, fine tipped, and I don't have to cramp or strain my hand holding it because unlike a Sigma Micron, it can be used at any angle. You can use watercolor gouache or ink for a project like this. I am using Cretacolor Aquastics, and if you don't know about these, they are a lovely, super light fast, water-soluble oil pastel. And they really are like using water-soluble oil paints. You can use them thinned down like watercolor, but they really are no comparison to fine artist watercolors transparent, so I don't use them that way. Where they really shine is when they're used denser, so they look like an oil painting at full density or a gouache piece at mid density. Unlike the Neocolor 2 water-soluble crayons, the Aquasticks have oil in them, and that's what makes them softer than the Neocolor 2s and the Derwent art bars. I never use my Aquasticks or Neocolor 2s in their dry stick form. I always cut off pieces off of them into a palette or tin, and then I wet them and use them like pan watercolors, except that they are denser and oily. I'm using a limited color scheme as usual, and this time it's an alternate triad of green, violet, and orange. I actually ended up using two oranges, a yellow orange, and a red orange for slightly more temperature and value variety, so there ended up being 4 colors used total. Limiting it to just these 4 colors gave me color balance and harmonious mixes. My favorite neutral that resulted was the mauve color that came from mixing the violet and red orange, and since it came out of the limited color scheme, it matched everything else perfectly. One of the places I used this mauve color was the very back top feathers, and also on the turkey's head actually, even though I made that part of the mix a little bit more red orange. And I laid most of my colors in wet on dry, since softening dried edges is easier with an oily product like the Aquasticks. I started with a thinner local color stain for various sections and then added denser pigment in a second layer. I do more realistic pieces often, and it's a nice fun break to also do some looser pieces like this turkey or the Halloween owls or the fox and raccoons I've done recently. Apart from being convenient holiday card pieces, sometimes it's nice to draw and paint several relaxing pieces rather than always wanting a challenge. Don't ever feel pressured to constantly push for challenging pieces. It's a great thing to keep growing as an artist, and I hope to do that for my whole life, but we must also avoid burnout, especially when we are stressed or worn out, and it's a better idea to produce meditative, relaxing, easier pieces rather than risk burning out from pursuing only ambitious pieces and then risking not wanting to paint at all, which just cancels out any artistic growth and joy that might have been forthcoming anyway. And that's how I ended up with this easy pattern bird. Even though he's not the edible variety of turkey, he still was a natural relaxant. I've seen pattern animals all over for years now in coloring books at stores and stuff, and so I decided it would be fun to sketch, ink, and paint my own pattern bird. Apart from the usual floral, polka dot, and stripe patterns, I thought using leaves for the tail fan area and twine texture for the feet and a few berries here and there would be good autumn pattern additions. Adding patterns to any piece is a great way to extend how long you're going to be painting it. I love patterns and embellishments, and I add them to my more realistic illustrations all the time to give them more little areas to paint, usually on textiles or furniture or a background in a piece. And while these patterns add an Art Nouveau or exotic ornamental vibe to my more complex pieces, with a simple drawing like this, the resulting vibe is more just a pattern quilt or cookie jar feel. Again, cozy and comforting. This turkey would definitely make a cozy patchwork quilt centerpiece and a very comforting cookie jar, especially if he holds fresh chocolate chip cookies inside. Look around your own house and you'll be surprised how adorable many a household object looks when transformed by drawing and painting it with patterns and decorations. Something as simple as a trio of ladles or spoons can look whimsical and magical in watercolor with patterns adorning them. And if you don't want to draw any specific object, just a patchwork of autumn patterns all over a page is a great sketching, inking, and painting exercise. And yes, all of these will also make lovely original holiday card ideas too. While I've been musing about cozy art, I've been continuing the wet on dry paint applications, and there's a little bit of shading to the leaves that I've added, but not much, and you can leave it out entirely if you want. The only thing of real import for a super simple piece like this is which colors go where, and it's a fun exercise exercise and color placement while emphasizing clarity. And it's kind of like flexing your muscles for a simpler piece, but you can carry these same lessons into a more complicated piece in the future. And you can see I've sandwiched green leaves in between the orange maple leaves and the reddish violet head and yellow orange back of the turkey. This puts some near complements as dividers between colors too close in hue and temperature. Likewise, I put the reddish mauve in the far back top, and I put pure violet down as a cooler divider between the mauve and the orange. Same for the yellow background and violet flowers on its tummy and back, and so on. There's obviously many ways I could have placed the four colors and their mixes here, and what you see is just one version that felt more visually lucid to me. Because the water-soluble oil pastel is more opaque and more resembling gouache than transparent watercolor, the end result will be more velvety matte rather than glossy and luminous. It will also cover up your ink lines a bit, so you can decide if you want to ink last or redo the ink drawing lines at the end, which I did to sharpen up my own little gobbler. Re-inked the outside lines because the faded lines looked good for the flower and leaf innards. And that wraps up my turkey holiday postcard, and he can be mailed and gifted as is, mounted to a larger card base, or matted and framed for a mantelpiece gift. Well, wizards, I hope you do plenty of cozy holiday art, and if you're one of my patrons, the ink sketch of my pattern turkey will be available for you on Patreon. Thanks for parking your brushes here. Please like, subscribe, and check out my website links and Patreon page to support this art channel below. If you're interested in buying my originals or prints, please email or visit my website for info. And until next time, wishing you all cozy painting adventures.